Initially, we didn't know who it was. It took a while to identify him, but we knew who he was within a minute or so of the time that he came in. It was, in fact, when the nurses took his wallet out of his pocket and we saw his identification, because, to be quite truthful, in death he looked almost nothing like he looked in life. We wouldn't have recognized him otherwise. The police officers knew who he was, and we 100% knew who he was when Yoko Ono walked through the door. He had no signs of life. He had no pulse, no blood pressure, no vital signs. He was not talking, and he was not hearing either. Had we done nothing further, we could have, at that moment, declared him dead. I took his heart in my hand and I massaged it to see if we could restore some effort, some cardiac function, but it was too late. I said something like, "We've been working very hard, we tried, but in spite of all of our efforts, your husband did not live. He's died."
Each life is precious, and although we all knew that Lennon was an icon and that it was going to impact people worldwide, I also knew that the doctors and nurses who had tried that night to save him were suffering.
If I had to pick the spot where the event took place that night, where John Lennon was actually cared for in the emergency department of the Roosevelt Hospital, unfortunately it would be at this very spot. Presently a brand new building in the midst of a drugstore. The emergency department was here. It was a totally different environment. It was a different physical plant. But all of the work that we did took place here. The building, all of the structure that was here then has been totally destroyed and replaced by the building in which we're standing at present. This is the door out of which Yoko Ono came. Sandra Schoen and I were standing on the inside. We actually had to send police officers out here because there were so many people standing against the door that we couldn't open it. Their car was parked here. Police cordoned off the sidewalk. She entered her car, drove home to tell her son Sean that his father had died.
His body was completely wrapped, and I had put my hand, I was walking in the back part of the stretcher. And I just put my hand on the top of his head, and I know I was crying. And I said something to him. "I'm sorry. This is the best. We couldn't do better for you, John." And it always comes up for me. It was a very powerful moment to just feel this man's head and know that his body had been completely torn apart by this crazy man.